May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be always pleasing in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Take a seat. Sorry. As you know, I record the sermons and I put them on Facebook. But I use my phone to record it. And my phone is also my diary. So I just turned it on to record, and I got a notification saying, you need to get ready for church now. Well, we made it. We made it to church this morning, thanks to our Monday night. There's an ad on YouTube that I've seen a few times. And in the ad, you see this guy, and he's cooking dinner. And I think it's bolognese or something, because he's got lots of tomatoes, and he's chopping away with a knife, and there's food going into the pot, and, you know, there's romantic music playing. And this cat jumps up on the stove, and the pot goes everywhere. And his girlfriend opens the door, and you see the man with the cat and the knife and the red sauce everywhere. Context matters. Context matters. So I want to do a little bit of contextualization of today's gospel. It's part of Jesus' sermon. And it's a sermon to people who are already, well, they're at least interested. They've gone out of their way to hear what this rabbi, this teacher, has to say. They're already on board. So that's the first thing. And it's in the context of, well, we've just done the Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor, the meek, the contrite. This would have surprised people back then. They would have expected, blessed are the rich, the wealthy, the arrogant, the powerful. And so this is the context in which Jesus is speaking. He's speaking to people who are, if not already believers, pretty close to it. And this is part of a sermon series, if you will, about how to live. And the reason I say that is quite often we get people who take a section of this teaching of Jesus, particularly, do not think that I've come to abolish the law of the prophets, I've come to fulfill them. For I truly tell you, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter nor the least stroke of pen will by any means disappear from the law. And they then go and quote pieces of scripture from the Old Testament to try and impose a morality on other people. So context matters. The context here is that these are people who are already on board. And the context of this is Jesus teaching how we should be living. That's an important distinction. We shouldn't use the Bible to try and force other people to live in a certain way. Or to put it differently, if you're using the Bible to bash people, you're doing it wrong. It's a challenge to us, calling us to a higher morality. It's a very different thing. It's a very different thing from us saying the Bible says you should behave a certain way. The Bible is telling me to behave a certain way, to a higher morality. If you want an example of that, you can look at the Beatitudes, you can look at the two great commandments, or you can look at the reading we had from Isaiah today as well. I have a friend who's a priest in the diocese who talks about a canon within the canon. The canon is the list of books that make up the Bible. And he talks about a canon within the canons. And these are the things that he privileges. Starts with the words of Jesus. Because we are Christians, we follow Christ. But very quickly, my friend will include the words of Isaiah. And quite probably because of the passage we read today. Because what Isaiah is talking about in Isaiah 58, 1-9, is he's talking about the difference between ritual and rite. R-I-T-E, not like our civil rights. Ritual and rite. So a ritual is a technique designed to try and make God do something. A rite is something we engage in a relational way. So rituals are about trying to control outcomes, or sometimes just to make us feel better. Now, interestingly, you can have two people attend the same event, and for one it is a ritual, and for one it is a rite. You could, in theory, come here, and it's a ritual, and you experience this event, and you go away thinking, oh, that was nice, and it makes no impact on you. Or it's a rite, and it makes an impact, and we change. And Isaiah is talking to people who had these rituals of fasting. They would give up on food, on water, all sorts of things. They would go have days spent in prayer. And Isaiah is proclaiming the words of God, and God is saying, if you think that's what you're being called to do, think again. Because I know, says God, I see what you do. I know what you're like. You leave this place and you get into a fight with your neighbor. You leave this place and you use your wealth and power to exploit the poor. And you think I'm going to listen to your prayers in your rituals. No. The kind of sacrifice God asks us is to assume a higher morality. So the default morality for the world at the moment is you can do whatever you want as long as no one else gets hurt. Does that sound like, that sort of reflects what perhaps society tells us as morality. You can do whatever you want as long as no one gets hurt. You can take drugs as long as no one gets hurt, although that perhaps supports some criminal endeavor. You can live however you like, as long as no one gets hurt. That's the morality that society teaches. And Jesus is saying, that's not good enough. For those of you who wish to hear the words of Jesus, remember that's who he's talking to. People that have gone out of their way. They might have got a day off work. They might have hiked a couple of kilometers to where Jesus was. They've already invested. For those of you who want to know how to live, here's the new standard. And he's talking about a different morality. He's reflecting what Isaiah has to say, and we say it every day in our call to confession. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. So if you want to take society to do whatever you want as long as no one's getting hurt, and you want to reframe that, do whatever you want, as long as it is truly loving to the people around you, to your neighbors, your society. That's the morality that Christ calls us to. And, says Jesus, when you do that, you'll be like a lamp. You'll be a light that people can see by, and they can go, that is something that is good. Or alternatively, you'll be like salt. Salt is not something we use like they did back then. So salt is something we use to flavor food now. For them, it had two significant functions. One was currency. So if you were a Roman soldier, payday involved a bag of salt, which seems odd now, doesn't it? But it was very useful. It's portable, it's valuable. You can trade with people for it. So if we were to take the currency idea, and Jesus was speaking now, you are gold and jewels. But if you've lost your luster, if you've lost your value, what's the point? And light, of course, it's just part of our lives. The planet glows from space. There are so many lights on at night. People look, astronauts can look down and they can go, oh, look, there's Brisbane. It's a glow-in-the-dark spot on Australia. We have so much light that we just think it's normal. In fact, I experience frustration when for some reason I flick the light switch and nothing happens. I feel I'm entitled to light in the middle of the night because I'm that special. Jesus is telling us to be of great value, to be light so that people can see by, so that they can see how they should live. So we come to church for a rite of transformation, so that we can be renewed in our call to lead lives that are loving to the world around us, so that we can hear again Christ's call to us to be a light in the darkness and a thing of great value in the world. In the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.